What we're going to be talking about is a new workshop that we put together over the last 9 months or so. We've been talking to experts, talking to them about how we can change our clubs and our club's culture. And it's a workshop that we can do in person, we can do online. We'll be presenting it as a 90-minute in-person workshop at the International Convention in Houston. So I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Well, thanks, Tom. And as Tom said, this workshop or presentation can be done virtually or can be done in person. We launched it this month. We are presenting it at several PETS programs. 2 of them will be virtual, 1 will be in person, and of course we're doing it in Houston. We don't yet know which day or time, but as soon as we do, we will make that information available to our director, and hopefully that will get posted somewhere so you all can see. So the big question is, why should you attend the session in Houston, or why should you invite us to your club or your district? So Tom, tell us, why should people do this?
Well, that's a very good question, Stephanie. We always have to know our why. And the reason why is because the #1 reason that people leave, and we know this from the international surveys that Rotary conducts, is that they don't feel comfortable in their environment. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I want to spend a couple of minutes here talking about what is club culture. Well, it's a very powerful force. It really is the unwritten rule book that determines the way we do things around here. Or if you put it another way, it's all the behaviors and the attitudes of your members that reflect your club's values and beliefs as well as theirs. So if things are going smoothly in your club, if you are having growth and diversity, if there is foundation giving, if there's activity in all 5 areas of service, approved grant applications, and so on, your club's culture is a source of strength. If, however, there's been a decline in 1 or more of those areas I just mentioned, the culture may need shifting to realize something different, a change. Change is often met with resistance because it's based in the fear of the unknown. We don't know what it means. Even with the fullest amount of information possible, there are things we can't predict, and that can be scary. Let's do a quick exercise now. I really would just like you to do this. It's called the folded arm exercise. So just do as you see that young lady on the screen. Fold your arms, all right? Now, for some of you, you have your left arm over your right arm. And for some of you, it's the opposite. You have your right over your left. So what I'd like you to do now is just switch it. Do the opposite. So Tom, how does that feel when you switched it and did it differently?
Stephanie, it felt very uncomfortable. Almost as uncomfortable as that restorative yoga class that Catherine made me go to last night, where the instructor thought that I was Gumby or super stretch, and I was really more like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Right. So, even though, holding your arms, crossing your arms, you can do it different ways. And even if you change it, it may result in the same or better outcomes, but there's still always going to be a challenge to implement it. Culture is created intentionally, and so it has to be actively maintained by all club members. The benefit is that your club's culture can give your club a sense of purpose, and it affects all of those areas I mentioned earlier. The better your culture, the greater the potential for your club to positively impact the community, the world, and your members. Think Rotary vision statement here. Together, we see a world where people unite to create lasting change around the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. So we'd like you to join us on this journey as we will facilitate discussions about club culture, why it's important, how you go about assessing your current club status and determine if it's appropriate. And then, most importantly, how do you apply strategies and concrete actions that will shift this intangible force, also known as culture, so that your club can flourish? So Tom, I'll turn it back over to you now.
So we spent a lot of time thinking about how to give this workshop, and we wanted to do it in a way that doesn't offend anyone and doesn't pick on clubs. So we do it with fun examples, and we put together some really good interactive exercises that'll get people to think about what they're doing. And it's going to answer the million-dollar question, which is, what do you do if you do your assessment and you find out there's an issue? Do you want to change it? Or sometimes, as we say, sometimes it's easier to give birth than to raise the dead. And maybe you want to actually start a satellite club or start a new club, or maybe you want to do both. So Rotary has a great new change model, and Haresh will be familiar with this, and Dr. Berg will be familiar from IA, which it was just introduced. It takes you through the process on how to assess what you need to do, design a plan, build it, implement it, sustain it, and then redo it again. So, you know, it's not an easy thing to change culture, because to change culture, you have to change people. Let's face it, we all know that's not an easy thing to do. But we've been around for 117 years and we have some traditions, and sometimes people might not feel relevant if they're going to be replaced, or newer people, younger people take their spot. We're going to help you deal with all that and answer all those questions. It's going to be fun.
So here's the wind up and the pitch. We really would love for you, if you're planning to be in Houston, we want you to come and join us for the in-person workshop. The in-person workshop will have a lot of exercises and a lot of interaction. If we do it virtually, unfortunately, the number of exercises that we do has to be reduced, simply because the virtual platforms don't lend themselves to that kind of activity. Invite us to facilitate a session at your club or at your district, because your clubs need this workshop. Before I turn it back over to Tom, I just want to share with you why we got this idea. Where did this come from? Well, as Tom said, about 9 months ago, we had both just finished reading a book called The Rotary Club Murder Mystery. This book was written in 1993 by a Rotarian, and we were both appalled at the number of references in this book that talked about behaviors and attitudes that are so outdated. So we decided that it really was time for us to take a look at club culture and see if we could put a spin on it and make club culture a really serious topic. Tom, any closing comments?
We just want to say that we can adapt what you need, and you can tell us what you need, and we'll be able to do it. You know, when we started out, we were sure we needed 90 minutes to do what we need to do, but now what we realize is some people only need 45 minutes, some people need an hour, some people need virtual. Whatever you need, we will put the work in to adapt it so that your club or district can benefit from it, or zone.